Suppose you agree that you do have this property of eating, powerlessness, that sometimes you just can't control what you eat or the desire to eat. Sometimes you might think that you have control because you're aware that you want to eat, but really there's no control because you can't really stop yourself. So if you have this property, you might want to look at the 12 steps. And so let's take a look at what you have to do before you begin the 12 steps. And this is out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, but it works for pretty much everything. There's so many different recovery groups that have used the same concept. So am I ready? Am I really ready to do this process? Most meetings that you go to in any program, could be alcohol, drugs, sex addiction, gambling, whatever it is, overeating, it'll talk about the section. It'll have how it works, and it's page 58 of the big book. It says if you've decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. So am I ready to take these steps? A lot of times the sponsors will start sponsoring people, but the people aren't ready to take the steps. They have not decided that they want what the other people have, and they are certainly not ready to go to any lengths to get it. So they're not quite ready yet. They need to do other things before they get ready. But let's take a look at what it means to be ready. Am I ready? Now, first one is, it says, if you've decided you want what we have, what does it mean to decide? In the doctor's opinion on the 4th edition, it's page XXX, page 30 in Roman numerals, lowercase Roman numerals. It says the classification of alcoholics seems most difficult and in much details outside the scope of the book, but there are, of course, psychopaths, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it goes on to say that there are some kinds of people, they call them the psychopaths, who are emotionally unstable. They're always going on the wagon for keeps, and they're overly remorseful and make resolutions but never a decision. You will see lots of people like this in recovery. And I don't know if they're really psychopaths or not, but I'm not a doctor, but they will say, oh, I really shouldn't have eaten, and oh, I shouldn't have done this, and I'm definitely going to change and everything, but they never decide to do the program. They'll say, well, I got to fix my problems at work, and I got to do anything else besides doing the steps. They'll avoid it. So they're aware of the powerlessness, but they'll avoid taking action, and they'll delay the decision and say, no, that's it. I'm done with this, and I'm not screwing around anymore. I've decided I'm doing this thing. No matter how many times I make a mistake, I'm following through. When a person, so you have to ask yourself, and you probably have not made the decision yet. If you're watching this video, you probably have not made the decision that, hey, this is it. I'm done with the old life. I'm starting a new life, and I'm just going to, I've decided, cutting off other options. A lot of times people will talk about open-mindedness. Well, this is not open-mindedness. This is closed-mindedness. The being open-minded about other ways to eat, you just forget it. I've tried every possible way to eat that I can think of. It's not working. I'm going to try this new way, and I'm going to go, both feet in. I'm going to just jump in and get it done. That's making a decision. So now, no one's going to make a decision like that unless they understand what the result will be. And so, it says if you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, actually, if you've decided you want what we have, you're willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. Well, what exactly do we have? Now, this is a lot of times not clearly explained to the newcomer. We have neutrality. We're not worried about eating anymore. It's out of our mind. Except for talking about it in recovery, it's really not a factor in our lives. Our loved ones know that we can't eat, certain things, but we just don't think about it. And it says that we have not even sworn off. So alcoholics, somebody said, well, I'll never drink again. That's not what the original 100 people did when they wrote that book, the big book. They didn't swear off. They don't promise that they'll never drink again. All they say is they have a one day at a time feeling of neutrality. The problem has been removed. It does not exist. So alcoholics don't want to drink. So what we want to get to is a position where we no longer want recreational food. We no longer want to eat for fun. The food may or may not taste good, but that's not important. And what is important is that we are not emotional about it, that we're not obsessive or compulsive about it, that we just plan what we're going to eat and we eat that. We know that it's not going to spiral out of control. If we have some thought about food, we don't make a decision later on. We've already decided we're not going to eat recreational food. We're not going to eat for fun. And so if you can't do this, I mean, it's like no, I can't. I mean, I have to eat for fun. Or if you can say it, out loud, oh yeah, I'm not going to eat for fun, but secretly in your mind, yes, you really are going to eat for fun, then you're really not willing to go to any lengths necessary. But you can say, hey, I would like this. I want that neutrality. And if you don't know that this is the goal, sometimes it's hard to achieve the goal. If you don't know that the end point is neutrality, how can you achieve the goal? How can you get to the goal if you don't know what the goal is? So what we have is neutrality. That is what we have. If you don't want neutrality, if you want to have fun with food, then 12-step program is not for you. It's a big waste of time. If you want neutrality, then you might be ready to take certain steps. Now the question is, am I willing to go to any lengths? And it says here on page 76, remember it was agreed at the beginning we'd go to any lengths for victory over alcohol, which we can say the same thing about food. And then it says on page 79, reminding ourselves we've decided to go to any lengths. We ask to be given strength and direction to do the right thing. So, and this is when we're doing step 9, no matter what the personal consequences may be. When we say any lengths, what we mean are the steps. And the steps are hard. There's work involved. Basically, there's self-reflection, taking a cold, hard look at yourself and your life and asking, is this really the way I should be living? So in the past, what we did is we simply, didn't think about our problems. We tried to avoid them and soothe them by using addictive behavior. But now, instead of avoiding our problems, we're going to face them head on. And it's not going to be pleasant in a lot of cases. But we're going to set things straight. We're going to clear out any bad blood. We're going to make whatever amends we can. And if we can't make amends, if we did something wrong and we can't make amends for it, we're going to have to accept it. We're going to have to accept it that we're not going to be living our lives in misery just because we screwed up. Because there's no point in living our lives in misery. So, but anyway, these are hard things to do. Don't worry, there's lots of people that can help you to do it. But you have to be willing to go to these lengths. Now, does it mean you have to jump off a cliff? No, you don't have to do anything crazy. As a matter of fact, you have to do the things that are the opposite of crazy. You have to do things that are sensible. Facing facts and facing your fears is sensible. Jumping off a cliff is crazy. So you got to go to any lengths, but there are any sensible lengths. And if you want, you can read about them in the Into Action section. Those are the lengths you got to go through. Take a look. See if you're willing to do them. If you're willing to do them, then you might be ready to take certain steps. So that's the basic idea. If you have decided, in other words, if you have said there's no other options, I'm not going to keep being wishy-washy about this. If you've decided you want what we have, neutrality is what we have, and you're willing to go to any lengths to get it, and that means to do the rest of these steps, then you're ready to take the certain steps. If you can say that honestly, if you've thought this through, then you're ready. If you can't say that, you can keep exploring 12-step programs, but there's no need to go through the steps or waste your time with the sponsor or anything like that. Wait until you've figured out, try everything else. Try everything else you can think of. And then after you've tried everything, you said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to plunge in and do those steps full boat. And then you're ready to do it. Very important that you be ready, and it's very important that the sponsors recognize that their sponsees are ready and ask them, are you willing to do all this stuff and really talk about this? You might even have to talk about it, you're going through step 2, step 3, and you have to reassess it. Are you really ready to do this? Have you decided that you want this or not? So it's so critical in recovery, at least from my observation, is to make sure that the question of are you ready has really thoroughly been explored.